up, everybody? Jimmy Faluca and Frank are back after our little sabbatical. Frank, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, James.
I think that we need to take a break from our studies and discuss more important matters. Pro wrestling. How have you been?
I've been busy with school. Like I said, I haven't watched too much Raw or SmackDown. I've been watching it on DVR.
I'll tell you something. I find myself a lot less aggravated these days because I have a class that runs on Mondays from 6 in the evening until 10 at night, so I don't get to see much of Raw, but I've been keeping up with my favorite podcast, which I'm plugging shamelessly. The Sol Monster Sounds Off. He's my favorite podcast, and I keep up with stuff that I read here and there, but I don't read too much into dirt sheets, and if I see something that I think is worth going back on, I'll crack into my DVR and I'll see it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like a smart fan or you're above the curve a little bit, you really don't have to watch Raw from beginning to end. You pretty much, focus on a few segments. And
I'll tell you one thing. One thing I love about the DVR is I can skip over a lot of the crap. I don't have to.
I think possibly 60% of the people do that. You can't sit there and watch 3 hours of live Raw with the commercials and the.
Not at all. I'll tell you something. I had my friend Christian over tonight, and even he and I were saying 2 hours is way too long for a wrestling. 3 hours is way too long for a wrestling show, especially on regular television. Way too goddamn long.
It's nothing new. It's been going on since the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah, but the 3 hours didn't work that well for WCW.
No, I understand. I'm talking about just the format in general of these shows.
No, absolutely.
They're basically just a 2-hour infomercial leading up to the pay-per-view. They're not going to give you that much. They're not going to give away the farm for free on
Nor should they, really. They shouldn't give away pay-per-view quality stuff every Raw, because then what's the point in watching the pay-per-view?
Exactly.
There you go. Well, let's jump right into it, Frank. The last time we met, we were discussing SummerSlam when it was over. And still at this point in time, and I know you want to talk about this, Brock Lesnar is still the current WWE champion. The last time we saw Brock, he defended his title against John Cena at Night of Champions. And I have to say, what I saw at Night of Champions, I felt was ridiculous. Because they made it to me, and I've been watching wrestling for 20 years. What they were trying to sell to me is that at SummerSlam, John Cena went into the match with Brock Lesnar overconfident, and now he was going to take him seriously. What's up with that?
Well, I think maybe they just it's that Brock, in the SummerSlam match, he just dominated, and this is Cena's
I dare say that was the only. I dare say that was the most realistic John Cena match I've ever seen.
No, come on, that's not ridiculous. But it was just to keep putting Brock over as this beast, and then the second match is at Night of Champions is to put Cena over, and it's to simplify his character. Never give up, and that's it. He never gives up, and he's always fighting and fighting no matter what. And he'll have you believe that he was close to winning.
I'll tell you right now, because John Cena won the right at Hell in a Cell to challenge Brock at the Rumble. If they allow John Cena to beat Brock Lesnar, everything that Brock Lesnar did, from beating Punk to ending the streak and all that, is thrown in the garbage. Because the key to Brock Lesnar ending the streak, as dumb as I think it was, because I think that no matter who beats him, no matter who beats Brock Lesnar, not a single wrestler can ever live up to The Undertaker's legend. I think to even consider that is ludicrous.
Well, if they do go that way, then they're telling you that Cena is the end-all, be-all, and he's the guy, he's the ultimate to beat. So then whoever beats him at SummerSlam, at WrestleMania is...
Well, what I'm saying is that whoever beats Brock Lesnar should be someone that is not in the stratosphere of a John Cena. Someone that is not in the stratosphere of The Rock, Steve Austin. Somebody else that could benefit from beating Brock Lesnar. Because if you have someone like John Cena beat Brock Lesnar, what does it do for John Cena? It does absolutely nothing. And this is
specific. It'll make him the 16-time world champion. He'll tie Ric Flair.
Oh, God.
And he's the guy who beat the unbeatable beast, the guy who ended the streak. So John Cena is the face of the company, undisputed face of the company. He is the greatest in the eyes of WWE. So that's who they're going to set up.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Frank. You saw last year's Royal Rumble when John Cena was wrestling for the title. What makes you think this year's Royal Rumble is going to be any different?
Well,
I think that it's very apparent, especially considering what I saw on Monday. Especially considering what I saw on Monday. The fans are sick and tired of this guy being in the main events. They're sick and tired of him being shoved down their throats. The guy's had 10 years on top. It's got to come to a point where either Vince or he has to make the decision of, okay, I had my time, it's over. I mean, there's a reason that Steve Austin and The Rock were not on top for that long. Because eventually the crowd would have soured on them. You know, it's not like the days of Bruno Sammartino, who was on top for 8 years. How many times did Bruno wrestle during those 8 years? Not many times throughout an entire year. So, the fans didn't sour on him as much. John Cena has been on top since 2005. It is now it's going to be 2015.
Okay, but James, would you have a problem with him dropping the title to the next star at WrestleMania?
I have a problem with him winning the title, period, from this point on. Nobody should beat Ric Flair's record.
It doesn't really mean anything.
Oh, come on, Frank. Come on. Stop being a WWE apologist and making excuses for Cena winning. The guy is not on Ric Flair's level as far as being a wrestler. I mean, let's be honest.
It's like any other record, like in baseball, the home run record, and basketball, the scoring record.
But if you want to compare the two, John Cena and Ric Flair, there is no doubt who the better wrestler is, and there's no doubt who did his job better. Ric Flair 150% did his job better. If the people were cheering for Ric Flair, the guy played the hero. If the people were booing Ric Flair, shut up, fat boy. He would do his job and be the villain. Ric Flair's never been forced in the fans' faces. The guy did his job. John Cena does not do his job, Frank, and that is something that doesn't get brought up enough. His job is to be the hero, and he sucks at it because people hate him. When you're the hero, people are supposed to love you. They don't love him. Hulk Hogan was universally loved, and when his fandom started to go down, he took off the red and yellow and became Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the fans never soured on him, even after he walked out in 2002. Never soured on him. The Rock is another example. They never soured on him until his movie career started to become his priority, and when he got booed, he became Hollywood Rock. This guy is the first wrestler I could think of to where when he gets booed, he grins at the fans as if to say, you don't matter. And I'm sorry, Frank, but if this guy breaks Ric Flair's record, that's going to, even my dad, who's a John Cena fan, likes what he does with the kids, likes all that. He flat out said it, and I'm backing him. If John Cena ties Ric Flair's record, it'll be a long time before wrestling is seen in this household on live television. Because I feel that strongly. I'm not like a lot of these fans that say, oh, I'm not going to watch after that. That will be my breaking point. Because now that they've made it to where the network you could cancel after a month, believe me when I tell you, I'm on thin ice with them after hearing the thing from Michael Cole that John Cena is the greatest champion of all time. So they're trying to tell me he's better than Flair, better than Hogan, better than Triple H, better than Austin, Rock, Undertaker. He's not in their league. Because in any other time in wrestling, he would not be the character he is right now. They get away with doing what they do with him now because they have no competition. But believe me when I tell you, Frank, if this was during the time where they had competition breathing down their necks, he would not be the same John Cena you see today. And I think that they get away with it way too much. And at the Royal Rumble, which I believe is in Philadelphia, that is a wrestling city. They will not be able to get away with letting him win the title for the 16th time, especially from Brock Lesnar, because let's be honest, Whoever beats Brock Lesnar is going to be elevated. A guy that can benefit from it. A guy like a Roman Reigns. A guy like a Daniel Bryan. A guy like a Dean Ambrose. Cesaro. Any of those 4 guys would be more than passable. You don't give it to someone that is not going to benefit from it. John Cena is a first ballot Hall of Famer already. Him winning the title now, people roll their eyes. He's in the main event, people roll their eyes. It's got to stop.
Yeah, but James, if they do go that way, it's not going to benefit Cena. It's going to benefit the guy who beats Cena.
No, the fans will not look at it that way. They will not look, and I'm not talking about the casual fans, the wrestling fans, the hardcore wrestling fans that booed the John Cena-Randy Orton match out of the Rumble last year, the people that booed Batista. They will not accept John Cena being the guy to beat the guy that ended the streak. I'm sorry, it's just not acceptable. The guy that beats Brock Lesnar should be a guy that is going to benefit from that. Because basically what they would be trying to tell you, okay, Frank, John Cena at the Royal Rumble is more powerful than The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Give me a break.
Yeah, but James, they don't look at it that way. They just don't look at it that way.
Well, the problem. Well, you want to know what, Frank? We can get into it later on. You look at their network subscriptions and their ratings. They ain't doing that good. They ain't doing that good, and it shows because who's in the main events? Same guy. It seems like every day is the same old shit for them. But let's get into the feuds that have been going on since SummerSlam. Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, without question, has been the hottest feud that they've had in a while. They had the hot hand with that feud.
Well, it's over now, but
well, it's over now.
At least it's paused.
I don't think it's over. I really don't think that it's completely over. I think for now it's on pause. I think it's because of the wrong guy. Seth Rollins was able to get the victory over Dean Ambrose at SummerSlam and inside Hell in a Cell, which without a doubt was the show stealer from the last pay-per-view. My issue with it is this. Bray Wyatt is now going to feud with Dean Ambrose, as they have been for the last 2-3 weeks. Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt are in a situation where neither guy can afford to lose. This is the second straight pay-per-view that he has wrestled on in which Dean Ambrose lost. Regardless of the circumstances, wins and losses still matter in wrestling. Because perception's reality, Frank. If you lose every single match, you will come across as a loser. And
I don't think Dean Ambrose, comes across that way.
No, I'm just saying. No. I'm not saying that he comes off as a loser. But what I'm saying is both Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose, neither guy can afford to lose the next match that they're in on pay-per-view. So that's why I think it's a very bad move. Okay, we can get into this. Bray Wyatt, he's been away for a while. Why is that? Why has he been away for a while, Frank? You tell me.
Well, they had to refresh his character.
Why did they have to refresh his character?
Because they made him lose. They made him lose over and over, and he started to look like a loser.
And who did he keep losing to?
John Cena.
Exactly. I proved my point. I proved my point again. Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt went. Bray Wyatt went, Frank.
The company.
Bray Wyatt went from beating the most over guy in the company, Daniel Bryan, at the Rumble, clean as a whistle. Then, the next month, he is the only man to have a clean pinfall victory over Roman Reigns. Think about that.
Oh, they built him up,
and then they knocked him down.
Listen, they feel he's not ready. We don't know what they know. He's not ready.
You want to know what it's telling me, Frank? They don't know what they're doing because
I don't think.
Because the guy's only been around for he's been around for a year. SummerSlam 2013 was his first match on the main stage. The fact that they had to freshen up his character after a year just shows the failure of creative when it comes to that. It's not his fault. He's been delivering in his promos. He's been delivering in his matches. His mannerisms.
I think the problem lies. I think his promos are so much better than his matches, and people people really like him for his promos, not more for his matches. I mean, could you really think of a memorable match with Bray Wyatt? I mean,
yes, I can. I can think of 3, as a matter of fact, right off the top of my head. 3. The match he had with Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble was a show stealer, and that was for both men. Daniel Bryan's the greatest wrestler in the world, as proven by the PWI, because he was voted, out of all 500, the best wrestler in the world.
For the year.
But that was a great match. The 3-on-3 match, the Shield and the Wyatts. I mean, could you ask for a better 6-man tag than that?
That's a 6-man tag. What about we'll point to him and Chris Jericho? I mean, those matches were average at best.
Absolutely they were, but you want to know why?
If you can't have a great match with Chris Jericho, what did that tell you?
Yeah, but you want to know something, Frank? The wins were already taken out of Bray Wyatt's sails at that point. Once his jets were cooled, that's not his fault. That's not his fault. Whoever's making the decisions doesn't know what they're doing. I'm going to give you an example. When The Undertaker first showed up, he beat Hulk Hogan, right? For the WWF Championship. What did they do the next week? Hogan won the belt back. Did he beat The Undertaker clean? No. They protected The Undertaker. They made Hogan throw ashes in his eyes and roll him up. That protected The Undertaker. He didn't just get the leg dropped on him. They protected him. Did they protect Bray Wyatt in his defeats against John Cena? Absolutely not. They made it look like the guy didn't even belong feuding with him. At WrestleMania, John Cena beat up all 3 members of the Wyatts by himself. That was Phase 1. Phase 2 was Extreme Rules. Every time John Cena tried to climb up the cage, the Wyatts were knocking him down. And they had a little kid as a distraction.
You could say that about the whole Wyatts. The Wyatts, how many times did the Wyatts lose to the
But that's my point. The Wyatts have been completely squandered, and now they broke up.
What did that tell you? That told you that they didn't see them as
they're wrong, because all 3 guys are great. Bray Wyatt's the best. I'm sorry, Frank, but you want to know what? They don't know what they're doing with their young talent. Look at Cesaro. The guy was the winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. The fans were singing his theme song the night after when Hulk Hogan introduced him as the winner. And what do? They put him with the guy who managed the guy that ended the streak. The fans didn't want to boo Cesaro. They wanted.
You're right. I think.
They wanted to cheer him. They were ready.
They challenged Daniel Bryan immediately after WrestleMania.
I think Bray Wyatt should have challenged Daniel Bryan, not Cesaro. Cesaro was a hero. Cesaro was a hero to the fans. You don't take a guy that's over and make him a bad guy. That's
there you have it, James. They only want to have a certain amount of top faces, and
but that's retarded, because back in the day when everything was hot, there were multiple guys that were good. I'll give you an example. Back in '98, you had multiple guys that were heroes to the fans. You had Undertaker, Stone Cold, Mick Foley, and The Rock. All at the same time, they were good guys. Well, on the other side, you had Vince McMahon, Triple H, Kane, Kurt Angle as heels. You don't have to just have 1 or 2 guys.
Listen, but that's the way if you see their pattern, that's what they want to do.
What they want to do is completely
fun. To stop using the swing because it was getting older.
I mean, not for nothing. And then what does this poor bastard have happen to him? That I had my brother-in-law earlier in the day say, "Oh, that's an internet fan thinking that." He says one word about the fans being sick and tired of seeing John Cena versus Randy Orton for the 500th time, and what happens to him? He gets beat 2 straight falls by Dolph Ziggler. 2 weeks in a row, he gets made a fool of by Dean Ambrose. And just tonight on SmackDown, he got beat by Tyson Kidd.
Oh, well,
I mean, for the love of fucking God. All because he said that there's a lot of young wrestlers that are ready, and that the fans are sick and tired of seeing John Cena versus Randy Orton for the 500th time.
I don't think it's that. I mean, did he say that in April?
What?
I don't think it has to do with that. I mean, he didn't say that in April. He said it a couple weeks ago, and he was getting
He said that the day before Hell in a Cell.
You know, so he was getting screwed after WrestleMania. So I mean,
no, but the screws have been really getting put to him from Hell in a Cell on, where he's being made to look like a fool. That was just bad booking from WrestleMania on, but from Hell in a Cell on, this guy's been made to look like a utility worker. Claudio Castagnoli's one of the best wrestlers in the world.
I agree.
So then, why do you take something like that and just destroy it? Why? Because they're petty?
No, James. I think, like I said, they only want to focus on a couple of guys, and that's it.
They're idiots, Frank. I hate to tell you, they're idiots.
Listen, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just telling you how they
they're completely screwing it up. They just
have they want to keep a certain few spots open, and that's it. And they decide who gets those spots.
I mean, look at Damian Sandow. The guy went from cashing in on John Cena to being a comedy act.
Yeah, and that was a really, really good match with John Cena. He went toe-to-toe with him.
The guy proved he can go. The guy proved to me that he can go in the ring.
Yes, without a doubt. But
now, I'm not saying I wanted him to necessarily win the match at that point because I knew they were going to unify the belts, but Jesus Christ, they made the guy look like he was nothing afterwards.
Again, just put that formula that I've been telling you. They only have a few spots for the top faces and the top heels. And
the formula hasn't worked. The formula has not proven that it works, and their network numbers and their ratings are proving that. Because, according to 2 weeks ago on the conference call, their network numbers are nowhere near where they should be. Now, when your network isn't making that much, what do you do to make improvements, Frank? As a businessman, what do you do?
Listen, I guess what you call a hardcore fan, I guess you could say that. I haven't subscribed. I haven't subscribed since my 6 months subscription ended, and I don't even miss it. I would hardly go on there maybe like once a week. I think the material available is not really that good. I mean, if I'm buying the membership to the network, I want access to everything, and they're only giving you a little bit. They're trying to push their reality shows. That's not the target audience. The target audience is the hardcore fan. Do you like watching Total Divas or? Absolutely
not. I never watched a single episode.
Or Legends House. I mean,
why would I watch that?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The customer that buys the network is the hardcore fan.
Well, you want to know something, Frank? You want to know? I happen to agree. I happen to agree with Jim Ross and Steve Austin when they both talked on their podcasts. And they both said the same thing. If you want your network subscriptions to go up, make your product on television more must-see. And I'm sorry, but an appearance from The Rock, an appearance from Brock Lesnar here and there is not going to get the job done.
Even that, I disagree. You just said make your product better on TV. So why would I? What does that have to do with the network?
Because you have to have the network in order to see the pay-per-views. If your pay-per-view,
that's it. So really, the network is only good or special for the pay-per-view, and this is where I think they screwed up by giving the pay-per-view away for free. Basically, I think they should have had kept the membership, whatever it is, $10, and give it if you have a membership. You get a discount for the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view costs $25. You still have to buy the pay-per-view for $25 instead of $50. If you don't have a membership, you buy the pay-per-view for the regular price.
Well,
that's where they're losing the money. They basically are giving away their pay-per-views for free.
Well, the way I see it is this: if they improved their product, their network subscriptions would go up. Raw is not must see. Raw is not entertaining, and
yeah, but we could see Raw on TV for free. Why would I have to buy the network?
You're missing the point, Frank. You're completely missing the point. If I want to see the payoffs to all these feuds that are going on, they're not going to take place on Raw. They're going to take place on the network, on the pay-per-views.
Right.
And I'd much rather shell out.
You want to buy the membership just to watch the pay-per-views.
Exactly. You'd be surprised how many people would do it just for that. But you want to know what? The pay-per-views are not must-see. They're not.
Here's the other monkey wrench. If you have a membership, how many people will watch the pay-per-view together? Usually it's in groups. So, like I said, most fans don't pay for it because they'll just go over their friend's house and watch it.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Frank, I think that if they had a network back in the day, when things were hot, people would never miss a show. They'd never miss a Raw. They'd never miss a pay-per-view. It's no comparison.
Yeah, but James, even if everybody watches the pay-per-view, 4 or 5 people could watch it on one screen. You understand? So basically, you don't think people did the same thing when the pay-per-views were going on? Right, but the pay-per-view cost $50. Now it costs $10. They're losing $40.
Well, all I know is this: they haven't. This is what I see, Frank. Maybe I got tunnel vision. I really don't care. All I know is this: their numbers are down, and their product sucks.
Well, yeah, I agree. But like I said, this.
And the only way that they could fix it is by improving themselves. They need major improvements. But we will continue this discussion in the second segment. Frank and I will be right back.